My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes right before Allah opens a door in your life that you've been longing for, He doesn't make it easier, He makes it heavier. Just before your breakthrough, things often feel like they're falling apart, but in reality, they're falling into place. The storm doesn't come to break you, it comes to cleanse you, to prepare you, to strip away what can't be carried into the next season of your life. One of the signs that something great is coming your way is that Allah begins to detach you from what you thought you needed. You lose friendships. Certain opportunities slip through your fingers. Doors you were counting on suddenly close. And it's painful, yes, but that's the purification process. Allah is not punishing you. He's refining you. He's making room in your heart and in your life for something far greater than what you were holding on to. Another sign is when you find yourself pulled into more dua, more sujood, more late night talks with your Creator. When you're on the edge of giving up, but somehow your heart still turns to Him in desperation, that's not weakness. That's preparation. You're being drawn closer, not because you're losing, but because you're being reminded who the true giver is. When you start relying on Him and not on what's around you, that's when your life begins to shift. You might also notice your tests increase. Things become unusually difficult. Your patience is stretched. Your plans don't seem to work. You're tested not because Allah is ignoring you, but because He's about to raise you. No believer is gifted without being tested. It's part of the package. The bigger the blessing, the greater the preparation. So if you're crying more, praying more, feeling more pressure, it's likely because the reward ahead is heavier than anything you've experienced before. And finally, you'll notice something change within you, a calmness, a strength, a maturity. Even if the chaos around you doesn't stop, your reaction to it becomes different. You start realizing what's meant for me won't miss me. What misses me was never written for me. That level of tawakkul, that depth of trust, is a clear sign that your heart is being prepared for something big. So don't underestimate what you're going through right now. The difficulty, the delays, the heartbreak. These are not signs of rejection. They're signs of redirection. Allah knows what He's doing. Even when you don't see it, even when you don't feel it, He is never absent. And His plan is always better than yours. If Allah is making you wait, thank Him. If He's making you grow, thank Him. If He's showing you who's real and who's not, thank Him. Because when that big moment arrives, when the job comes, or the nikah happens, or the prayer gets answered, you'll look back and say, now I understand why it had to happen that way. Don't give up when you're closest to the blessing. Sometimes the night is darkest just before Fajr. So hang on a little longer, trust Him a little deeper, and walk through the storm, knowing your Rabb never abandons the sincere. It's one of the most difficult things to go through. Losing people, losing opportunities, losing plans you were certain would work out. You sit there wondering, why is everything being taken away from me? Why does it feel like my world is falling apart? But the truth is, it's not falling apart. It's falling into place. You see, Allah knows what you don't. Ishi isisi lahrim, ishi isi isisi lahrim, isisi isisi lahrim, isisi isisi lahrim, isisi isisi isisi. And when He is about to bless you with something bigger, something better, something more meaningful, He begins by clearing your path. He removes the distractions. He exposes what doesn't deserve to go with you. He takes away people who might delay your growth. He closes doors you had your hopes in, not to hurt you, but to protect you from walking into something that would harm you later. Sometimes you're so focused on what's leaving that you don't realize what Allah is preparing for you. That person who walked away, the job that didn't come through, the friendship that ended, the plan that failed. It's all part of a divine design. But in the moment, it feels like pain. And it's okay to feel that. Even when we trust Allah, we still feel the sting of loss. We're human. But don't confuse the pain of letting go with the idea that Allah has abandoned you. In fact, it may be the opposite. Sometimes the fear may be the opposite. He may be closer to you in that moment than ever before. When Allah wants to build your future, He starts by removing the weight of your past. Think of a tree being pruned. You have to cut back certain branches for it to grow taller, stronger, and healthier. It may seem like you're cutting something good, but it's necessary. The same is true for your life. Some relationships you thought were permanent were only meant to teach you lessons. Some places you thought were home were only meant to be stops along the journey. And when Allah removes them, don't chase after them. Don't keep reopening the doors He closed. Trust that He knows what belongs in your future and what doesn't. The beauty of this process is that it draws you closer to Him. When people leave and plans fall apart, where do you turn? To Him. That's not a coincidence. That's a mercy. Because sometimes the only way Allah can get your full attention is by removing what you're clinging to. And it's in those moments of loss that your dras become more sincere, your sujud becomes deeper, your reliance on Him becomes real. And once your heart is fully turned to Him, that's when He begins to show you why everything had to happen the way it did. One day, you look back and say, Alhamdulillah, that door closed. Alhamdulillah, that person left. Alhamdulillah, that plan failed. Because if it hadn't, you would have missed the better blessing that came after. What you thought was the end was actually a beginning in disguise. What felt like a breakdown was the preparation for a breakthrough. You have to learn to trust the removal just as much as you trust the arrival. When something leaves your life, it's not always a loss. It can be a sign that Allah is clearing the space for something far more suitable to your future. Don't rush to fill the emptiness. Don't panic when the support system crumbles. That emptiness might be the space where Allah plants your next chapter. So if you're in a season where things are being removed from your life, be patient. Don't fight it. Don't beg for what left. Say, Ya Allah, I may not understand this now, but I trust you. I know you see what I cannot. I believe that you're preparing me for something I'm not ready for yet. Allah never subtracts without intending to add. And when He gives, it will be so complete, so peaceful, so right, that you'll forget the days you cried over what you lost, because it will all make sense. And more than that, it will all May Allah give us hearts that trust His plan even in the face of loss, and patience to wait for what He knows is best for us. Sometimes, right before Allah opens a door for you, you will find yourself crying more than ever before. You'll find yourself waking up in the middle of the night with a heavy heart. You'll be making dua more often, sometimes with words, sometimes just with tears. And you might start wondering, why now? Why am I feeling everything so deeply? Why does it feel like I'm being pulled closer to Allah when everything around me seems to be falling apart? But that is one of the greatest signs that something big is near. When you are on the edge of a breakthrough, your heart becomes more attached to your Creator. You begin to realize that nothing else in this world can truly fix what you're feeling. You talk to Allah more, you beg more, you cry more, not because you're weak, but because your soul knows that relief is only a step away. The desperation you feel isn't a punishment, it's preparation. It's the soul waking up. It's the heart being polished. And that desperation, that closeness to Allah, that intensity of your dua, those are signs that Allah is about to gift you something. You see, Allah loves to hear your voice. When things are going well, we often forget. Our prayers become rushed. Our hearts become distracted. But when life shakes you, when you're on your knees, when you're calling out from a place of brokenness, that's when your dua is the most sincere, and Allah responds to sincerity. Never underestimate the power of a heart that turns to Allah in desperation. Some of the most powerful changes in your life come after moments of deep dua. And often, it's in those private, tear-mist conversations that your story starts to shift, even if you don't see the change immediately. Think about it. Before rain falls, the sky gets darker. Before the seed breaks through the soil, it sits buried and hidden. And before your breakthrough comes, your heart often feels like it's being squeezed. But in that squeezing, something beautiful is happening. Your attachment to the world is being loosened, and your attachment to Allah is growing stronger. That's when you start relying on Him in a way you never have before. You stop looking left and right for solutions. You stop trying to control every detail. You begin to surrender, not out of defeat, but out of trust. And that trust is what opens doors. When you increase in dua, even while facing hardship, it's a sign of faith. And Allah never leaves the one who calls on Him. He says in the Quran, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." That's not a suggestion, it's a promise. The response may not come in the way you expect or at the time you desire, but it will come. And when it does, you'll see why the delay was actually mercy. And if your dua is making you feel closer to Allah, then even before your breakthrough comes, you've already received a gift, the gift of nearness to your Lord. That's something no worldly success can ever replace. So if you're in that season where your dua has become constant, where your heart feels heavy, but your connection to Allah is deepening, take comfort in that. You're not breaking, you're being prepared. You're not being tested to be destroyed, you're being shaped for something greater. Sometimes Allah allows everything else to fall apart so that your relationship with Him can be rebuilt. And once that connection is strong, everything else falls into place. At the right time, in the right way, with the right people. Keep making dua. Keep crying if you need to. Keep waking up for tahajjud, even if your voice is shaky and your eyes are swollen, because those are the moments that change your life. And those are the signs that something amazing is on its way. May Allah accept our duas, grant us patience during the waiting, and surprise us with what we never imagined possible. So often we go through challenges that shake us to the core. Everything we thought was certain becomes unstable. People we trusted turn away, plans fall through, doors we prayed would open remain shut. And in those moments, Shaitan tries to whisper into our hearts, maybe Allah is angry with you, maybe you're being punished, maybe you're not good enough. But this is where you must pause and remind yourself of a powerful truth. Tests are not always punishment. Sometimes they are preparation. Sometimes they are purification. Sometimes they are elevation. Allah does not test those He has abandoned. He tests those He loves. He tests those He wants to bring closer. Think about it. Every prophet faced trials. Every sincere believer in history endured hardships. Were they being punished? Of course not. They were being prepared for something greater. They were being strengthened, cleansed, and made ready for responsibilities and blessings far beyond what they could see at the time. When you're being tested heavily, it's a sign that Allah has something meaningful planned for you. You don't refine something unless it has value. You don't polish something unless it's meant to shine. And you don't test someone unless you see strength in them that they might not yet see in themselves. That's how Allah deals with His slaves. He puts them through difficulty to strengthen their resolve, to build their character, to elevate their rank, and to teach them to depend entirely on Him. But let's be honest, it's hard, it's painful, sometimes you cry, and the only one who understands is Allah. But that's the beauty of it. The fact that you turn to Him, the fact that you still say Alhamdulillah through tears, the fact that you keep getting back up, that's proof you're not being punished. That's proof that your test is working. It's pulling you back to your Creator. Some of the greatest transformations in your life will happen not during moments of ease, but in times of struggle. It's in the moments where you're left with no option but to fall into sujud and say, Ya Allah, I can't do this alone, that your real strength begins to grow. Because now your strength is not from your money, your friends, your intellect, or your plans. It's from your faith. And that kind of strength is unshakable. Many people think a blessing is only what brings comfort, but sometimes the real blessing is hidden in what breaks you. It's through that breakdown that Allah rebuilds your soul. He removes what doesn't serve you. He cleanses your heart. He teaches you humility. He shows you who's real in your life and who was never meant to stay. All of that is part of His mercy. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and say, that hardship saved me. When Abdullah prepares you for a heavy blessing, he removes your attachment to the wrong things. He removes distractions. He forces you to grow. And sometimes He even allows people to turn against you so that you learn not to depend on anyone but Him. That isolation isn't a curse, it's a cocoon. You're being shaped, transformed, and prepared for something that will make sense later. So don't let your test make you bitter. Let it make you better. Don't lose your connection with Allah during the trial. Hold on to it even tighter. Cry to Him. Complain only to Him. Trust that even if you don't understand what's happening, He does, and He never wastes your pain. Every tear, every sleepless night, every broken moment, it's all being recorded, and it's all part of your elevation. You're not being punished, you're being chosen. You're not being broken, you're being built. And when the blessing finally comes, and it will, you'll understand why it had to be this way. You'll appreciate it more. You'll handle it better. And most importantly, your heart will be more connected to Allah than it ever was before. May Allah grant us strength through our tests, clarity through our pain, and unimaginable blessings after every hardship.